In this video, we're going to be ditching the extremely restrictive, quiet, and honestly horsepower reducing 2-inch exhaust on my 64 Comet. And we're going to be replacing with a completely custom 2.5-inch system with brand new mufflers and an X-pipe. Now I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you what I bought, give you some ideas for your setup, and then we'll go back to the car. You can see what I'm working with. Now, we are not starting completely from scratch here because in a prior video, I went ahead and installed a set of Patriot mid-length headers to replace the stock cast iron manifolds. If you want to see that video, just jump back one and you can see how all that went down. For right now, we'll turn the camera around, I'll show you what I bought, kind of talk you through the process, and then we'll dive right into the fabrication. All right, let's talk about what I bought. So we'll leave the mufflers for last. Basically, this is a set of 2.5-inch DIY X-pipe kit from Pypes. Got the part number right here. Basically, this is pretty cool because this is going to allow you to make up your own X-pipe. Everything is a slip fit right here. They come with clamps. You can clamp it all together. Chances are I'll probably weld a lot of this. But I think it was pretty neat. It was very inexpensive, and this allows you to basically install an X-pipe on just about any vehicle you want. This is 2.5-inch, but I'm sure they do have them in other sizes. Back at the mufflers, and we'll talk about those last. I didn't want to weld the mufflers in case I totally hate them. So I've got these kind of like lap joint flanges that slide over top. It'll slide all the way on. And then basically this will make it so I have a leak-free connection, but if I ever wanted to replace these mufflers, they're not welded in everything else, and I can just unbolt them, pop them off, and try something different. Got myself some exhaust hangers here, the weld-on kind from Amazon. And then you're probably wondering why I have this U-bend. Well, I wanted to run turndowns to start. I probably eventually will route it out differently out the back. But just to start, I was like, you know what? Let's see how it sounds with turndowns. The only problem is a lot of the turndowns, they have a larger section here to slide over like an existing pipe. But if you basically just want to run your turndowns coming out of your mufflers, you want something that slides into the muffler. So turndowns, I was going to have to buy them and cut them anyway. And oddly enough, turndowns are kind of expensive. So I just bought a 183 U-bend. I can just cut this at whatever angles I want and make my own turndowns for a lot less money. Give it just a slightly different look. Now, in terms of the exhaust, kind of the tried and true Flowmaster here. You can go with whatever sound you want. These are the Super 44 mufflers in the 2.5-inch in and 2.5-inch out. And I just really like the sound of Flowmasters with the Ford 302. I think it's going to give it a pretty cool sound. It'll be a little bit different than the glass packs that are on it right now. Certainly you can go quieter with Flowmaster, you can go louder. I thought about going with Spintex, or there was a lot of different things, Dynamax race bullets, but again, I wound up getting these. If I totally hate the sound, which I doubt I will, I can always go back and just remove those clamps, pop them off, slide something else on. So let's get the car jacked up. I can show you what's underneath there, and you'll get an idea for why we're doing this. Okay, so this will give you an idea what we're working with here. So basically this is new. Got my headers coming down here. That one kind of comes down at a weird angle, so you got to do like a double bend. I did that in a previous video. And this was all just temporary. So this is 2.5-inch, but then it had to drop down to like 2 1/8 to mate up with what was already there. And as you can see, none of this is mandrel bent. It necks down really bad right there. There's no crossover pipe, so you're not getting any scavenging. It's got a set of glass packs on it, and it goes all the way out over the back. But you know, if we work our way down here, they did an okay job, but like when you really start to look at some of the bends and stuff, it really it necks down wherever there's a bend. So I think what we're gonna do, and I've got this kind of roughly laid out, is we are gonna cut it on the new 2.5-inch pipe, obviously, before the reducer, and then slip on, kind of figure out where we wanna put our X. X is gonna be somewhat dependent on my parking brake cable right here. So I can't put it too far up or it'll hit this. So I need to have it at least back to where the X is probably somewhere in here. Then we'll come back out and then figure out where we're gonna place our mufflers. So I think I'm gonna get the saw out and go ahead and start making some cuts, and we'll go from there. Well, I didn't show you all of it, but I cut all the rest of the exhaust off. I'm not gonna reuse any of the hangers or anything like that, but you can again see what I'm talking about. You know, again, it's just not mandrel bent. This is like 2 1/8 inch, I think at the largest point. And then it necks down pretty far. I do wanna go ahead and weigh this. So I'm gonna try and like hold it all and then get an idea for how much it weighs on the scale, just cause I'm curious. Held those, weighed that, then went over, held everything new, weighed that, and basically what I found out was this weighs like 43.5 pounds and the new exhaust is like 42. So basically negligible. Just a little check there, but it turns out you don't actually save hardly any weight by doing this, but you do move the weight forward towards the center of the car. Okay, we've got this sitting on the workbench. We've got everything lined up. You can see where it says inlet right there. So if I go ahead and grab a measurement, again, I'm gonna go from outside to inside, which gives me center to center. You can see that I have 21.5 inches. What I just measured was 21. Now, if it was wider, it would be really easy because all I would do is just slide these out a little bit, right? Let's say I slide each of those out. We'll call it roughly an inch, and take another measurement. You will see by moving them out an inch, I basically gained over half an inch. But if I slide them all the way in, the littlest or the minimal amount that I get, the smallest length is 21.5. So what that means is basically I'm just gonna need to go ahead and cut off a little bit off of each one, just this, in order to get the center to center dimensions that you need.
So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right.
All right, we didn't get it on video, but we went ahead and just tacked the pipes downstream of the X in place. Those hangers are gonna come off. That was just to hold it in place so I get everything level side to side so the mufflers sit right. We're gonna come back and measure and cut these off, but we wanted to get everything set up, make sure we have enough room between the drive shaft. So we'll make a mark where we're gonna cut later so they're both even. We'll pull these off, throw it up on the bench, weld it, then we can pop this back up on here. I'm gonna try and use some of these existing bolt hole locations to see if I can't capture a hanger over here, which I think will be helpful. Okay, here it is pulled off the car. And again, we're taking this really slow because we wanna make sure this thing slides in and out without any issue, and it does. This is the side that goes up towards the headers. This is what we just had tacked in place and kind of held with those clamps. We're gonna weld that out. I marked where I'm gonna cut for my mufflers. I'm not gonna weld the mufflers to the pipes. I could do that now, but the choice here is to not do that just in case I don't like the way these mufflers sound. I can still leave the X-pipe, that's gonna be all welded up, and then I can just remove that, which I think is probably the move.
I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.
Okay, we're all done. Pypes X-pipe installed. We've got our clamped on Flowmasters. Hey, look at that dent. I didn't know that was there. And our turndowns. Installed some hangers. I put new gaskets up in the front, header collector gaskets, just to make sure everything's good. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's rock solid. We'll put it on the ground, fire it up, let you hear it. All right, this is weird. It's a really good learning experience, and I like working on the Comet. I really thought it was going to be louder. That exhaust, that hunk of junk down there, like Restrictive, it honestly feels like it runs better right now, but it's not as loud as I want it to be. It's got a good sound, but I just need to decide if I want to keep those Super 44s or if I want to go to something a little bit racier, because I was just kind of hoping it'd be a little bit meaner, but I mean, it's definitely good driving around. So I don't know. I'm gonna show you a clip real quick of how it sounded when I just had the X-pipe on it, and that was it. Because you gotta try that. So take a listen to this, let me know what you think. So yeah, with just the X-pipe and like no mufflers, it sounds like totally like a race car. I mean, you couldn't drive it around like that, but it makes me wonder, like, should I do cutouts on this and leave the Super 44s? Should I go to another style muffler? Like Pypes makes one, it's called Pypes Violator. I don't know if you can get it in 2.5 inch. I assume you might be able to. That thing sounds mean. There's also Spintex, there's Dynamex race bullets. I don't know, I just want this thing to be like really aggressive sounding. And like I said, it sounds really good with the Flowmasters, but I just wish it was a little bit louder. So let me know in the comments if I just need to let them break in, or, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna drive a little bit more and figure it out, but definitely a good idea to leave that slip fit kind of connection. But anyways, let me know what you think about the sound. And you can go back in my previous videos and see how it sounded with that previous exhaust. It had a good sound to it. I just thought this was gonna be a little bit louder, but I am happy with it. Flows better. It seems to drive better. I know that sounds weird, but it honestly, like an X-pipe is supposed to net you generally like 5 to 10 horsepower, but I swear you can feel it seat of the pants. So I think going from that super restrictive, no crossover, and then after I just did the heads and cam and all that stuff. So I think it was maybe a little bit restrictive. The next thing we're gonna do in the next video is going to be to ditch, come back on light, is going to be to ditch the mechanical fan and install an electric fan. And I really think that will help. And after that, we're gonna get this thing to the dyno, and man, I hope it makes 300 horsepower. I kind of don't know. It feels strong, but like, I don't know if it's 300 horsepower or not. We may have to just try and reduce weight to try and get ourselves to that point where we're comparable to a newer Mustang. I don't know. So check out the next video. Let me know what you think about the exhaust. And before long, we'll have this thing back on the dyno for the last time. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.